Hey, Dad, or Mr. Keith, thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. I'm really excited to hear your life story and perspectives. I'll be asking a few questions about your childhood, education, historical moments, and more. Feel free to take your time answering, and if anything comes to mind along the way, that we can follow that thread too. Okay, we're going to start with your childhood and family life. What was your childhood like?
I grew up in Royal, kind of a rural area outside of Dunn. We farmed some, small farm. My granddaddy raised cows. I had a good childhood. We used to come home from school and we'd have to go right straight to the garden and work.
Okay, comparing that to what kids experience now, what do you think about it?
Can you repeat that?
How do you think that it compares to what kids experience today?
No comparison.
None?
Kids nowadays have got a cell phone in their hand, a computer or something. We had nothing like that. We would come in after working in the garden, eat supper, and watch Andy Griffin or something like that. It was nothing like it is now.
Okay, and the next question. Who were your role models growing up?
My father.
And why did you look up to him?
Daddy was a hard worker and tried to help everybody. And he did a lot for the people around the neighborhood. And I just thought when I grow up, I'll be like him because everybody seemed to like him.
Good answer. And now, what was the earliest major event or person of historical significance do you remember hearing about?
The assassination of John F. Kennedy.
And how did that make you feel?
It was sad. I was sitting in the living room with my grandma when I heard about it.
Okay, and we will move on to education. How many years did you attend school?
I did 12 years of public school, and then I went to a 2-year tech school.
And what do you remember most about your time in school?
Well, I played a lot of sports, so I should remember the education better, but I remember the sports and Friday night ball games and stuff like that.
How was your school different back then compared to how they are today?
Schools are a lot different now. Back then, when I was in school, the teachers didn't have to call your parents when you did wrong. They paddled you and you get sent to in-school suspension. But nowadays, there's no kind of discipline in school, and the kids don't respect the teachers as they used to when I was growing up.
Was education something your entire family had access to growing up?
Yes.
And what level of schooling did your parents and siblings receive?
My dad graduated from high school, went to work at Irwin Mills. My mom graduated from high school and went to nursing school and became an RN and went to work at Good Hope Hospital.
Okay, now historical events. What major wars do you remember, and how do they affect your life or the lives of those around you?
The one that I remember that was most hurtful was the Vietnam War. And my grandma's brother got killed, and I was at her house when 2 people, chaplains from the Army, come and told her he had been killed. That was in the Vietnam War.
And were you impacted in any way by racial segregation or discrimination?
No.
Do you remember where you were in the events like the JFK assassination or the moon landing happened?
Yeah, the JFK, I told you earlier, I was in the living room sitting with my grandma when I heard about it.
And what about the moon landing?
We were watching it on a black and white TV.
Okay, and now we're going to move on to your society and economics. How has the community you grew up in changed over time?
The community that I grew up in has changed tremendously.
In what ways?
Well, you can't, the way society is nowadays, you can't lecture your kids. We used to roam everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Jump on our bicycles. The the rule was you had to be home before the street lights, because we had no cell phones. You had no way of contacting us once we left home. So you knew when them street lights come on, you better be in the house.
And in your lifetime, what do you think was the greatest challenge that society has faced?
I think the biggest society thing that we're dealing with right now is the failure to become one. Everybody's pulling against each other. You got this one doing this one doing that, and it's no unity in America like it used to be.
What kind of work did you do throughout your life, and how did that change over the years?
I growed up, started driving a tractor, burning tobacco at 5 years old. Couldn't even turn it around. At the end of the row, I just had to hit the brake and they'd come turn it around and I'd drive it back to the other end. Then I got 10, I had to start helping take the barns of tobacco out in the morning and then go crop tobacco all day and put barns in that afternoon. As I got older, I got a job at Twyford Printing Company while I was in school, and I worked there after school. And then I got me a degree in machinist tool and die, and I worked one day in that job, and a piece of metal hit me in the eye, and I quit. And then I went into the car business, and I've been into the car business 39 years.
Okay, now we will talk politics and government. What was your favorite U.S. president, and what made them stand out to you?
My favorite president, I would have to say, is Donald Trump.
And what makes them stand out to you?
Because he has no filter. He tells exactly what is on his mind and how he feels. Doesn't care who he offends or anything.
And to spin off that question, who was your least favorite president and why?
Well, there's two.
Okay.
Obama and Biden. I think they were horrible.
Why do you think that?
Well, I think they were selfish. Both of them were very selfish. And Biden, I don't think that he ever had opportunity to run the country. I think he was the figure as the president, but I still thought that Obama was running the country behind him.
Were there any political causes or movements that you strongly supported or disapproved of?
No.
And do you think America has become more politically divided today than they were in earlier years of your life? Why or why not?
100%. I told you earlier that we had no unity. So I think that instead of we the people, it's all about Democrat, Republican, and there's no unity between them. So you'll never be able to accomplish what we're supposed to be accomplishing by not working together. You have to work together in order to have unity. And right now, in 2025, we've got the worst division in our country as we've ever had.
Okay, and now we will move on to the technology. What inventions or advancements have changed your life the most?
Well, there's been a lot of changes since I was born. The riding a lawnmower was a fabulous thing. When I grew up, we had to do a push mower. The lawnmower, we used to have to cut around trees with scissors and hand cutters. They come out with a weed eater. I thought that was a great thing. And but it has revolved so much. With me being in the car business and then introducing EVs, you know, you're going from combustion engines to electric engines. That has been a huge, huge advancement, good or bad. I see good and bad with it. I think it's terrible for the environment, but I think it's good for saving on gas and oil.
And also another spin-off of that, how did your daily life or work change as technology advanced around you over time? Like through your computer and your websites that you have now compared to when you first started in the car business?
Yeah, we did not even have computers when I started in the car business. We had what they call coin machines. You put in the price and stuff, and you put in the term, and you put in the rate, interest rate, and it kick you out of payment. And advertising, now I do all my advertising digitally. Used to, we did it by print, like News and Observer or something like that, and we did very little radio. But 100% everything is digitally driven now, as far as OTT, and they have geo-fencing. It has advanced so much from what it was when I first started.
Do you think that's harming or helping your sales?
I think it helps. We're able to reach digitally. You're able to reach out further and reach a bigger crowd of people. So you've got a bigger pond you're fishing in, and you're able to attract more customers.
Is there any specific invention that you feel especially excited about, or for futuristic, futuristic things that you think might come out soon that you've seen on TV growing up?
No, not really. I mean, there ain't nothing futuristic that really. I don't really look at stuff like that. I mean, I just, when it gets invented, that's when I'm not into futuristic. Just like 4 years ago, they started talking about this EV cars and all, and I thought it was just hot air. And all of a sudden, it comes out, and Elon Musk has sent a Tesla into orbit, and it's got 2 dummies sitting in it, and it's video and everything and all. I'm interested is when they bring that footage down to watch it, to see what the outer space has always been a thing that is just amazing to me. We used to watch a show called God, what was the name of them? The Jetsons. The first time I ever seen a microwave was on there, and now we got one here in the house. You see self-driving cars, you seen flying cars. We have all that now, so it's amazing how I watched that in the 60s and 70s, and now it's come to real life.
Do you think that we will ever advance far enough to get flying cars like in the Jetsons?
100%. They have them now.
They do?
Yes. They have a car that can run on land or fly up to 200 feet in there.
And who makes those cars?
I'm not sure the manufacturer of it, but I'm sure that Elon Musk has got something to do with it. Because he's going to building electric cars and he's building airplanes. So if I had to say the manufacturer would have something to go back to Tesla.
Okay, and now we move on to gender roles, race, and diversity. How have gender roles changed over your lifetime, especially in your workplace or home?
They have changed tremendously in bad ways and good ways. Used to, when I grew up, both parents had to work. However, when you go back a generation to my grandma and granddad, the woman stayed at home and tended to the house and cooked and stuff like that. And I think now it's more into the genders and all that. I mean, all this stuff is just too complex. I've always known the 2 genders, just male and female. Last time I looked, there was like 60 different genders. So I am really, really reserved, and I hold back on talking about it because I don't agree with it.
Okay, and what were some of your earliest memories related to the race relations or discrimination?
I would probably say Martin Luther King is when I really saw what was going You know, I sit back and I look and I've seen some stuff and I've read stuff where the black people had to go to one restroom and the white people had to go. All that, I'm glad that finally changed where we're one, because under God, He does not discriminate with color, and we shouldn't either. But it's there's so much stuff going on. I just really wish the statues they tore down. It's ignorant, and here's why. People don't understand the difference between racism and heritage.
Okay, and now we move on to the pop culture. How has music changed over the years? Which artists or genres have stuck with you the most?
So I grew up with Conway Twitty, Hank Williams. That's what my dad listened to. Old stuff. And then I revolved into the Hank Williams Jr., the Keith Whitley, stuff like that. And now, the music I hear today, I don't even relate to most of the time.
Okay. And what did people do for fun when you were younger, and how has that changed today?
Well, if we did good that week, we got to go to the skating rink one time, either Friday or Saturday night. We played in the yard a lot at night. You don't never see kids out playing in the yard anymore. But the skating ring, we go to maybe a high school ball game. You know, being I played sports, I was at our ball games. So I guess I don't have kids that play sports, so I don't get into that. I do go to the basketball games and stuff because my daughter cheers. But as far as going to a Friday night football game and stuff like that, I went to a couple at Triton, and they just don't have the same feeling that they used to, because that was exciting, because that's what we look forward to doing. And now we as society and the kids that we raise, they do so much all the time, it's almost like there's nothing extra exciting anymore.
And are there any TV shows or movies that made a really big impact on you, and why do you remember them?
I'm not a big movie person. So there's a couple. I don't really say no movies have had an impact on me. My favorite all-time movie is Shawshank Redemption. The impact it made on me is to make sure that you never go to prison. But it was a really good movie. But honestly, I watched a little bit of the news, and I don't watch a lot of TV.
Okay, now we're coming to the end of our interview, and we are going to do a reflection category. If you could go back and relive your life, is there anything you would do differently?
Anything I would do differently? If I had to do anything differently, I wish that I would have got involved in the more politics. Like I would have liked to have been a senator or a congressman, or maybe even the governor of North Carolina, something like that. But to say that, I would also like to say that I am very satisfied where I am in my life right now. I've done really good for myself and my family. So, yes, I would do something different, but reality, probably I wouldn't. I'd probably do the same thing.
If there is one lesson or piece of advice that you would like to give and share to the future generation.
Share to the future generation. Listen to advice from grown-ups. Hang around people that have good influence on you. And if you really, really want to be prosperous, learn how to work and not get dirty. Rich people, people that prosper, never get dirty. They stay clean all the time. They're good leaders. They lead people in the right direction so they get the stuff done for. So anytime you're a steward of good things, great things come out. I don't know how many times in my life I wish that I'd listened to what my dad or mom told me and not have to let them say I told you so. Because as a kid growing up, you think you know everything. I did. So when they told you something, oh no, I'm going to do it my way. And then you'd end up getting in trouble or getting in a bind and you have to be bailed out. And I still do it today in my adult life, knowing I shouldn't do something like to help somebody and it puts you in a bind or whatever. Whatever my daddy told me, I wanted to listen to him, but yet I always tried to veer off and do it my way. And he was only telling me from his experience of failure, trying to keep me from having to fail. So if you could ever learn as a young adult to listen to people, parents, influential people or whatever, and follow their advice, it would save you so much heartache and trouble that you could advance so much quicker.
That's really good. And now looking back, what are you most proud of?
What am I most proud of? I would have to say I would have to be most proud of my kids.
And why is that?
I have raised two great daughters. Neither one of them has never given me 1 minute's problem. And the reason I'm proud of them, because I'm hoping that through my failures I have learned from, that I can distill it in them and they don't make the same mistakes I've made. And they grow up to be very prosperous, very good people and stewards of the community where they help people and not always do things in their best interest, but to do it in other people's best interest as well.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dad, or Mr. Keith, for sharing your time, your memories, and your perspectives with me today. Hearing your experience from your childhood to an incredible change you've witnessed in the world, you've been inspiring and eye-opening, and you've lived through so many memories that have shaped our history, and it means a lot that you are willing to reflect with them so openly. This interview isn't just about my school project, it's the way you preserve your story for the next generation. And before we finish, is there anything you'd like to share, like any final thoughts, lessons, or stories that you want people to remember?
No, as bad as I hate to say it, you just have to find your own way in the world, and you have to make your own decisions, and you're going to fail. But what separates the good from the great is when you fail, you learn from it and pick yourself up and move forward.
Thank you so much for doing this interview today.
Thank you.